Hello and welcome to the Creative Kobold. I'm Gyra, and today we are taking a close look at the Fantasy Series 1 by Blacklist Miniatures. This was a Kickstarter campaign a while ago. I made a video about it, calling it the best deal you could make for miniatures at the time. It was $65 and ended up with 201 miniatures, which is quite a lot of miniatures for that price. Now, because of the amount of miniatures in this set, this is the second of two videos where we will be looking at the NPCs and monster options. Let's dive in. A very classic looking bandit, can be used for any kind of ruffian, from highwaymen to assassins. Very cool. This hooded cultist is very typical looking, though a detail that stands out to me is the manacles around the wrists and ankles. Could be part of their faith. The constable is a very confident looking woman, but she can definitely also work as a lot of other types of NPC as well. I really like this innkeeper. He's got a jolly face and the details are great. If a fight breaks out, he's got two of his kitchen knives on him. Street vendor miniatures are very nice to have for town and city encounters. This one is selling jewelry, holding out several necklaces for potential buyers to have a gander at. There are many types of constructs in D&D, but this one is a bit too steampunky for my use. For me, it's simply a matter of personal taste and should definitely fit well into the Eberron setting or similar. I have many werewolf miniatures, including those from Blacklist Alter Quest game. For some reason, this werewolf sculpt is a slightly different variation from that one and not the same. And I appreciate having a variation. A very regular looking but well sculpted zombie. Interestingly, I don't have enough regular zombies, so this is very welcome, as they're super useful. Skeletons are something I do have a whole bunch of, and I'm very fond of the Rune Wars skeletons. However, I might use a couple of these as well, as they're quite nice. Another classic undead is the mummy, and these are a perfect fit for the average mummy. Incidentally, I had several MacLeod style minis, but no normal ones, so very happy about these. Ghouls are the more intelligent zombie-like undead. I have a couple already, but these do the job better than at least half of the ones I have. Ghost-type minis come in so many different designs. This one is simply a translucent blue human-looking man, but you can see the energy they're made of flows upwards, almost like fire. The Banshee is a human-looking woman that seems to be in the middle of a scream. She almost looks like she's floating with how her dress flows. Also translucent blue like the ghost.
The Unholy Knight works great as either Death Knights or as some other more dangerous skeleton than the regular ones. Very nice to have. This Vampire Lord definitely looks the part, nobly dressed and with a flowing cape. Can definitely be painted up as Strahd if you're running that campaign. Liches are extremely powerful undead mages. This mini portrays that quite well, in my opinion. Their design is also quite unique from other Lich minis I've seen. Orcs have been around forever, and this mini works quite well for them. They're wielding a poleaxe, which is pretty nice. Wielding a different poleaxe than the orcs, these bugbears have got a very nice design to them. I have way too few bugbears, so they are quite welcome in my collection. Another creature I have too few of are gnolls, and again we have a nice depiction of them in this mini. I think this will work great when painted up. I do have a few troglodyte minis, but these guys looks a lot like the 5th edition design for them. I'll probably paint them up and use them. While I don't feel a need for more goblins, these guys do the job well. And although not a scimitar specifically, they have both a sword and a bow on them, like in their 5e stat block. Kobolds. As with the goblin, the kobold has both their melee and ranged weapons from the stat block, a dagger and a sling. This is a very good kobold mini and should go well with the Nolzer kobolds as well. Harpies are usually depicted naked in both the D&D and mythology as far as I know, but these are wearing armor. I'd personally prefer them to look less civilized, but it's otherwise a good design that does the job. While definitely a good imp design, stinger tail and all, as imps are supposed to be tiny creatures, this mini is just way too big. Gargoyles are another classic creature, and although there's not much to say about these, they work well for their purpose. The giant worm miniature is way too tiny to be a regular purple worm, but could work well as a purple wormling. The design definitely fits. There are many options for giant spider minis, but these minis will be an upgrade for a lot of my Halloween toy spiders. Lovely spider design. I don't have any giant fire beetle minis, and while these definitely work, I'm not sure I will use them. They've given the beetle a beak instead of mandibles, and I dislike that the front legs are twice as long as their other legs. Boars are fun beasts, and I like this mini. Should be easy to paint up as well, and I'm always happy to add more animals to my collection. Another example of great design but oversized sculpt. The giant rat in D&D should be small in size. This is medium. In addition, the tail will potentially become an annoyance during play. Wolves are an essential animal to have several minis of, and these do the job well. I will definitely be using these a lot. The gas serpent, I assume, is supposed to be a D&D fire snake, and while the fire snake doesn't actually burn, it can look as it does. But the clear plastic gives a lot of options for how you want to paint this. This ooze comes in translucent green, which is very nice, even if the green slime in 5th edition is a hazard, not a creature. Fire elementals are perhaps the most commonly used elementals, and this is a pretty good design and sculpt. I only wish this one was positioned a bit further back on its base so it'd be more centered. This water elemental looks ready to engulf any hero standing in its way. I'm very much looking forward to painting it. Air elementals are perhaps the least used elementals, but I find them very nice to have around. This one definitely works quite well, and I'm happy to have it. I like how grumpy this earth elemental looks. It adds a bit of personality to it. Now this is a pretty badass Balor mini, and that sword makes me think of Soul Calibur. Absolutely love this design. Aside from the fact that I think this spiked club design looks a bit silly, this is a pretty good ogre miniature, and ogre miniatures are a necessity. I'm not as excited about this troll sculpt though. It looks a bit boring in my opinion, and the pose looks a bit strange. Overall, it's not terrible, it works, but there are better ones out there. This shambling mound looks alright enough. I feel it perhaps stands a bit too upright. Other than that, it looks pretty good. This is a pretty good Naga. I really like the face on it, and I don't think I have a mini for a regular Naga, so this is very welcome. Giant bears aren't what you'll find the most use for, but this mini can definitely also be used as a brown bear. I just wish the gaps where the arms connect weren't as visible. This is a huge dragon. The design is nice and it has a very interesting tail. In my eyes, between the D&D dragons, this looks mostly like a red dragon to me. This is a really cool giant mini. Even though she has hair, she looks like a stone giant to me, which has been portrayed with hair before. I'd love to hear your comments on what sort of giant you'd paint her up as though.
I still consider this to be one of the best deals you can make for starting out your miniatures collection or expanding upon it. You get lots of player character options, a horde of D&D monsters and multiples where it counts, and even some NPCs. There's a little bit of mold lines, but nothing out of the ordinary, and generally the quality of the miniatures is that of really good board game miniatures. Now, if you're in Norway, you might be able to get this from Grimfield Games at grimfield.no. Let me know what you think in the comments. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.